What's really going on behind this so-called big boost to your state pension? David here, and before you scroll away, let me ask you something important. Have you checked what's changed in your pension this April, or are you trusting what the headlines are saying? Because something unusual is happening, and hardly anyone is talking about the full picture. Why is the DWP suddenly making bold moves after months of silence? And why is the Labour Party jumping in now, so close to a possible election? Could it be just politics? Or is this actually the beginning of a long-awaited shift in how pensioners are treated in the UK? Now, I won't give away all the details just yet, because you need to understand what's really behind this increase. Yes, the numbers are going up. But how much is going into your pocket, and how much could quietly be taken back in taxes or lost benefits? You've likely heard about the triple lock. But has it been fully protected, or just temporarily used as a headline booster? And here's a more important question: will it still be there next year if the economy dips again or if a new party takes control? You deserve answers, not just flashy promises or confusing jargon. That's why I'm diving deep in this video to show you not just the amount of the increase, but the real impact it could have on your day-to-day life. Because some people might be celebrating, while others could unknowingly lose out on benefits they've relied on for years. So, what's being increased, and what might quietly be taken away? Could this raise actually bump you into a tax bracket you didn't expect? Could it affect your eligibility for pension credit or other means-tested support? Don't skip ahead. This is where it gets crucial. Too many seniors have missed out on vital updates because no one took the time to explain it clearly. That ends today. I'm David, and in this video, I'm breaking it all down, clearly, honestly, and without the fluff. If you're on the state pension, about to claim it, or helping a loved one navigate the system, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because this update affects more than just your wallet, it could affect your peace of mind. Ready to find out what the government didn't put in the headline? Let's get into it. Let's begin with the most pressing point. Yes, there has been a confirmed increase to the state pension this April 2025, and for many pensioners across the UK, this is not just a small adjustment but a meaningful change to their weekly income. The full new state pension has risen from £203.85 to approximately £217.31 per week, an annual uplift that brings the total to nearly £11,300. This rise, while headline-worthy on its own, is deeply rooted in the government's continued commitment, at least for now, to the triple lock guarantee. This triple lock mechanism ensures that the state pension increases each year by the highest of three figures: inflation, average earnings growth, or 2.5%. For the 2025 adjustment, the key figure came from last year's inflation rate of 6.7%, which triggered the rise and brought relief to many pensioners facing steep costs in food, energy, and daily living. However, while the number itself is welcome, it's essential to understand how it plays into the broader pension system and the surrounding political context. This isn't just a kind-hearted move from government officials, it's also a response to significant political pressure. The Labour Party, eager to court older voters ahead of the next general election, has been outspoken in its demands for stronger protections for retirees. Their positioning as the party of pensioners may not be official policy, but it has been increasingly reflected in public messaging and media statements. Labour has called for the triple lock to not only remain intact but potentially be reinforced in future years. Their goal is to project stability and reliability for pensioners, a demographic known for high voter turnout and a keen eye for promises that affect their wallets. At the same time, the Department for Work and Pensions has found itself under renewed scrutiny. With both public and political eyes fixed on how they handle senior benefits, the DWP has had little room to maneuver quietly. This time, announcements were made sooner than in previous years. The tone was also more assertive, clearly an effort to calm anxieties after months of speculation about potential cuts or freezes, but it's important to remain cautious. Government spending comes with trade-offs, and what gets given in one area often sees balancing in another. That's where things can become complicated for many pensioners, especially those who receive more than just the basic state pension. For instance, the personal allowance, the amount of income you can receive before paying tax, remains frozen. That might not seem like a problem at first, but as pensions rise, more and more retirees are being pulled into the tax net. A pensioner whose income now slightly exceeds the allowance could find themselves unexpectedly liable for income tax. This wasn't always a widespread issue. Historically, most retirees lived below the taxable threshold, but times have changed. Now, even modest increases like this year's can lead to unexpected deductions. That means, while the gross pension amount is higher, the net effect, the money actually received, might not be as much as expected, particularly for those with additional sources of income like a workplace pension or savings interest. Then there's the impact on means-tested benefits. Pension credit is one of the most underutilized support systems in the UK, yet it's critical for low-income seniors. Thousands of eligible pensioners don't claim it either because they don't realize they qualify or because the process feels too complex. But here's the tricky part: with the increase in state pension, some individuals may now fall just above the threshold to receive pension credit. It's a frustrating irony: you receive a raise, but then lose eligibility for a benefit that might have been worth hundreds or even thousands of pounds annually. For someone living on a tight budget, that trade-off can be painful. It also introduces confusion and anxiety. Did you gain, or did you lose in the end? That uncertainty is something no one deserves, especially after years of contributing to the system. A similar story unfolds with housing benefit, council tax reduction, and other forms of local authority support. Many of these programs have rigid thresholds. A pensioner gaining a few extra pounds each week might suddenly receive less support elsewhere. Unfortunately, these changes don't come with a warning label. Most people only discover the shift when a payment drops or a letter arrives in the post saying they are no longer eligible. It's one of the hidden risks of benefit increases that few politicians are willing to discuss openly. The spotlight stays on the uplift, but the shadows often hold the deductions. That's why it's so important to view the increase not just as a number on a paper but as part of a larger system. Every change in income interacts with taxation, thresholds, and benefit eligibility. For many pensioners, especially those with limited savings or who rent their homes, even small shifts can make a big difference. A £10 increase in one area might mean a £15 reduction in another. Without clear communication, this can feel more like a trick than a treat. And then there's inflation. The 6.7% figure used for this year's adjustment reflects past prices, not current or future ones. Food prices, energy costs, transport, and essential services have all continued to climb. Even if your pension rises by hundreds over the year, your spending might rise by even more. It becomes a game of catch-up where the finish line keeps moving. That's why many pensioners report feeling no real change despite annual increases. The costs of daily life outpace the support they receive. This year is no different. While the boost is welcomed and certainly better than a freeze or cut, it's not a cure-all. It doesn't erase the challenges of heating your home, managing prescriptions, or affording transport to the GP. From a political angle, both major parties are treading carefully. The Conservatives have traditionally positioned themselves as protectors of pensioners, especially through the triple lock, but recent economic pressures have strained that image. Internal debates have suggested reviewing or modifying the lock if public finances deteriorate. At the same time, Labour has used this uncertainty as an opening, claiming that only they will safeguard the full value of pensions going forward. Whether this turns into policy remains to be seen, but it's a clear signal that pensioners are again a central focus of national debate. For those nearing retirement age, the state pension increase raises even more questions. Will this new rate hold for future retirees? Will the same formula apply? What happens if the economy dips next year and inflation falls or earnings slow? Could we see a smaller increase, or worse, a freeze or suspension of the triple lock? These are valid concerns. While the government has given no indication of dropping the triple lock, economic realities often force policy shifts. It wouldn't be the first time a guarantee turned into a guideline. It's also worth noting that the way pensions are communicated can be misleading. A yearly figure like £11,300 sounds substantial, but broken down weekly and weighed against real expenses, it's modest. For those with no private savings or workplace pensions, the state pension alone does not stretch far, especially in cities with higher living costs. That's why it's essential to not only consider the gross number but also to assess your personal budget. What do your actual costs look like? How does this increase affect your rent, utilities, groceries, and medical needs? Another critical point to consider is communication. The DWP has tried to improve transparency, but many pensioners still report confusion. Letters and statements often use technical language. Terms like new state pension, basic state pension, guarantee credit, or savings credit are rarely explained clearly. That leads to misunderstandings and missed opportunities. Some pensioners may not realize they've received an increase. Others might see changes in their benefit amounts and not understand why. Clarity should be a priority, but it often feels like an afterthought. Technology also plays a role. More pension services are moving online. While this may be convenient for some, it's a barrier for others. Not everyone has easy internet access, and digital literacy varies greatly among seniors. If your only access to changes and updates is through a website or app, it's easy to be left behind. That's why staying informed through reliable sources and trusted community voices remains so important. Finally, let's look ahead. What does this increase tell us about the future of the pension system in the UK? On the surface, it shows a willingness to uphold the triple lock and to provide meaningful financial support. But it also reveals pressure points, taxation creep, benefit reductions, communication gaps, and digital divides. If these aren't addressed, then even a generous increase won't be enough to secure long-term peace of mind for pensioners. There's no doubt that the boost to £217.31 per week is good news. It means more money in your account, and in tough times, every pound helps. But it's not just about celebration, it's also about awareness. What you gain in one hand might be reduced in another. Knowing where you stand, what to expect, and how to plan is more important than ever. That's why videos like this matter. That's why you're here, and that's why I'll continue bringing you updates with clarity and honesty.